Welcome to the video. We are going to look upon the Python questions for InfyTQ. Again, make sure that you do subscribe to the YouTube channel, because not just for InfyTQ, along for all the upcoming off-campus, on-campus drives, we are going to help you. In fact, you're going to see Prep Insta the most during your placement preparation as well. Right, so let's begin. Now, first thing is, again, a lot of off-campus drives would happen before your placement season would begin. Big companies like PayPal, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Cisco, Amazon, so on and so forth would be hiring in starting from April, May, June, and then your on-campus would start. So these companies come early so they can get the best talent before the placements begin in any of the universities, and then you're booked for all of those companies. So kind of for fighting for the best talent, because then your college doesn't allow you to sit for multiple companies. So they have off-campus. That okay, doesn't matter that okay which college you belong to or whatever, you can apply to our company and then go ahead and get a job with us. And even before placements to begin, most of the times what happens is a lot of people do not get to know that okay these drives happened, which is why they don't get to apply. But in fact, a lot of drives would happen. So we'll post it on our social media channels. Make sure that you follow us everywhere on all the 4 channels, because sometimes when we are partnered with a particular company, they're not comfortable posting it on maybe WhatsApp, so on and so forth. Sometimes they're like, okay, we only want limited number of people, so on and so forth. So make sure that you follow us on all the social media channels, right? And again, we've launched the InfyTQ preparation course, which is for 1999. You'll get 200 rupees off further if you use the coupon code YouTube. So that's pretty much about the InfyTQ preparation course, which would cover everything that is required for InfyTQ, even the interview preparation. And again, if not, then you can go ahead with the Royal Pass, which is even better. You'll get access to all the courses that are on Prep Insta today, and all the courses that we will launch tomorrow. Naming a few: Infosys, Wipro, Deloitte, DXC, HSBC, Accenture, Infosys, TCS, Code Beta, Digital, 30 other companies, Cisco, HackerRank, HackerEarth, Python, competitive coding, DBMS, data science, basically everything that we have. And again, you'll get certification for all the skill tracks. Again, the price is 4444 in this case. And we have combo 2 and combo 1. If your combo 1 is AMCAT, CoQPC, Litmus, and combo 2 is in all these companies, right? So let's begin. Now, first thing is, even in Python, they are asking you data structures. So you have to complete the whole data structures, to be honest. You have to complete the whole. There are linked list question also. I've not included those in this particular session, but there are linked list questions as well. So let's have a look on the first one, right? Now, you can pause the video, solve it on your own, because I'm not going to read the question, so on and so forth. This is your job. I want you to pause the video, look at it, solve it on your own. Right. So essentially, I don't care about anything. What I care about is 4, 7, 16, 9, 17, 22, these numbers, and hashing essentially works with collisions and so on and so forth. They're basically asking you that, okay, in which the collisions will not occur. So let's say if you are percentaging by 4, right? So in this case, 4% 4, 0, 4% 16, 0, correct? So any option that has 4 and 16 is incorrect, because definitely 4 and 16 collision will not occur, will occur definitely, right? 4 and 16 collision will definitely be occurring there, right? So on and so forth. You can go ahead and check for the next one, then you can go ahead and check for the next one, so on. So basically what you have to do is, again, in fact, let me do this. I really want you to go to internet and understand how hashing works and collision works. I would explain you this question, you would understand, but then not globally, right? So essentially, more or less what you have to do is 4% 4 equal to 0. 7% 4 is equals to 3, 16% 4 is equals to 0, 9% 4 is equals to 1, and 17% 4 equal to 1, and 22% 4 is equals to 2. So here collision happened here and here. So basically these two pairs, right? I've given you enough information. What happens when collision happens? It moves on to the next one, is it? So that is something that you have to check. So 7 is where collision is not happening, and 22 is where collision is not happening. Apart from that, I see collision happening everywhere. right? So probably this could be the answer, but still I'm on purpose confusing you, right? So moving ahead further in the next one, read the whole question. I'm just going to read it at the same time. So John is visiting a zoo, roaming around for some time. He finds that he's lost in his way. John wants to reach the entry or exit gate. He remembers Van's ice cream, a landmark which he saw strolling through the zoo. John finds there are three ways to reach the Van's ice cream, right, from his current location. So probably let's say here is where John is. So let's say John is here. There are three ways. Let's say this, this, and this, correct? And then they are saying that, okay, there are four ways from Van's ice cream to the entry and exit. So there is this one, then there is probably this one, then there is probably this one, and then there is probably this one. So there are four ways to reach here. Now, do I even have to explain you what this looks like? Graph. Considering all the above scenario, the most suitable data structure that can be used to represent all possible ways to reach blah 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 blah. Obviously cannot be stack, cannot be queue, could be tree. But graph is a little better. So essentially a tree is a graph as well, right? So if you're using something, use graph. So graph would be the answer in this particular case. So as you can see, even in the Python one, this is the official test that they've given. They are asking you questions about data structures as well. In fact, linked list as well, greedy as well, so on and so forth. So competitive programming is also a must thing. Now, what would be the output for the below Python code is what they are asking. So have a look upon the question, and then I'll help you understand what is happening. Okay, so let's have a look upon this particular question. So you have a class vehicle. Okay, just give me 1 second. So you have a class called as vehicle. You have four-wheeler, you have two-wheeler. Right, in the vehicle class, you just have one thing, that is color. Right, in the four-wheeler class, we have a few things, that is color. If we look at the super underscore init method, so basically that is setting up the super class for this, and then therein we are setting up the color of this. So basically, again, as you can see, it's kind of inheritance and so on and so forth. It looks like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Right, you obviously, if you don't know what is inheritance and all, if you can't see from this, in that case you need to learn Python. But so again, then there's only one thing that we are passing here. In fact, two things that we are passing in this vehicle class. One is the number of gears. The second thing is color. So the color from here goes to the parent class, that is vehicle, correct? And then the number of gears gets, kind of constructed here with the self method. Self dot number of gears is equals to number of gears. And then if we look ahead with the two-wheeler, then again you have vehicle. Again, they are saying that, okay, extending it down further. Then rather than any other thing being passed, they are simply saying right. Okay. So this particular vehicle class, if any two-wheeler instance is created, automatically the self.color would be initialized to right. But there's another thing. Again, we are passing only one variable, that is engine cc, which is basically engine cc self is equals to engine cc. But before this anything goes on further, initially we initialize it to a red color, but then we updated it to blue color. So now let's have a look. We created a class called as Maruti four-wheeler. We passed on two variables, 4 and red. So what would happen? Number of gears would get initialized to 4, this 4, and color for this vehicle class, again, in this case, would, for the super, since we use the super method, would be initialized to red. So when we are printing this color in this gear, so what would be printed? 4, red would be printed, correct? Now again, we are passing two-wheeler 80. Now obviously in the same case, obviously here engine cc is equals to engine cc, so 80. Then again, initially it will be pushed down to red, but just before the function, we are making it blue color. Forcefully. Again, this is something that we are not passing, but in the init function, we are kind of generalizing it. So again, 80 comma blue. So these would be the two outputs that we would be getting. Correct? So this is your answer for this one. Now, moving ahead further. Okay, maybe this is a little, maybe you would need a little zoom in kind of an effect to particularly solve this given question, right? In fact, what I want you to do is, we'll take up this question at the very end of it, very end of the lecture. Okay, this is, maybe you can take a screenshot of it if you want. So this is 3 parts, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so let's have a look upon this one here. So again, consider the code below. Here you have a method called as display cat details, and here you have something called as color being passed, name being passed, name 2, name 3 being passed. Okay, so extra variables you are passing for no reason, but I'm not sure. So this is the function definition, and then we have a function called display cat details wherein we are passing 3 values: brown, fluffy and snow. Which of the following function replaced in the line 1 so that it would continue to execute successfully? Okay, so this is the question. I want you to pause the video, I want you to think it on your own and then get the answer. Okay, so I want you to explain this particular concept. Now if you look at this code, what I've done here is I've created a list fruits which has lemon, pear, watermelon and tomato, right? And then what I'm doing here is, in the first print function, I'm printing it at the 0th index, then the first index, then the second index, then the third index. As you can see, lemon, pear, watermelon, tomato has been printed. Now forget about this as of now. Let's have a look upon this. When I just simply say fruit, so what it does is, it prints out the whole thing in this format, that is into a list format. As you can see, quotations and square brackets on the left hand side. For example, we are not able to see here and here because of the color of the pen, right? So it prints this way. But if you look at this one, obviously the output for this is this. So what it's able to do is, it's printing all of these indexes individually, but if we just use a star. So what essentially I'm trying to say is, this and this statement is, in fact, this statement and this statement is exactly the same. So what star does, it starting from whichever index that you pointed out to be, it prints everything individually rather than printing it as a list. So if we go back and look at the question that we had, was particularly this, right? So let me just go ahead and run this. So it just prints out everything perfectly. So that's pretty much about what you would be doing here is, let's go back to where my slides were, right? So the solution for this particular thing would be, so let's say the first one, I'm passing brown as color, and then I'm passing fluffy and snow as this star names, right? So in this case, this would be the correct answer for us, right? Now there's one more option that I really want you to try, right? And as the question says that there are 2 correct options, right? So what I've done here is, and you can even go ahead and make minor changes to your program. Let's say if I say print, so on and so forth, right? Use the print method, so on and so forth, right? So just by using all of this, I really want you to figure out the second one on your own. And then in the comment section, I really want you to print out which one would be the second one for question number 5 and the reason to that as well. Now again, this is something that we do in all of our videos. The top explanation, the topmost doubt or topmost whatever question that I've asked you, the person who answers it most beautifully gets the online class of their choice completely free of cost, right? So that's something that you can do. In all of our videos, 3 people get the same thing. So this is something interesting for you as well. So again, that's pretty much about it. Let's have a look upon the next one. Would take you a little while. I don't want you to watch the video as if that, you know, I'm explaining something, and I really want you to try this particular question. So pause the video, try it on your own. Don't worry if even if it takes you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, so on and so forth. Please make sure that you solve this, right? So let's have a look upon this. Now what the code is saying is, again, there is try, maybe if you're not from Python, you remember try catch statements, right? So try, except, and finally, and catch also, something like this, right? So except and catch almost are like similar. Except is that, okay, let's say divide by 0 exception, right? So what you're saying is, if this exception comes, do this, right? So for example, let's say if an exception value error comes inside this try block, so what we go ahead and print is invalid value. Okay, so let's have a look. So obviously the function would start from here, because this, sorry, the program would start from, program execution would start from here, and because this is a function, right? So again, we are creating a list 1 which has 2, 4, 6 as a character, 2 and 8. Now what we are doing is, we are creating another list, that is list 2, and we are calling up a function that is fun list 1 as a parameter that we are passing, and we are passing 4 as value. Now what's happening is, okay, so 4 here from my get to know is because I see index, so 4 is the index here. So if this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So I'm talking about 8 as an index in this particular function, right? And I've gotten the whole list, by the way. Now what's happening here is, I've created an output list of all zeros. So 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0. So why? Into len of input list. So what is the length of input list? It's 5. So which is why 0, or in fact first element, second element, third element, fourth element, fifth element. So this would do this. Now let's have a look upon the next one here. Now what we are saying is output list of index. So we are saying we created 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0. And index we passed as 4. So I'm talking about this fourth one here. Is input list of index. So what is input list of index is 8. Now 8 divided by input list of index plus 1. So what is after this? There's nothing. Now if I try to access a particular element outside the memory space that is allocated to it, what happens in the other cases? So let's say in C, C++, you get index out of range error. In the case of Python, you get out of range error, right? So which is why the error that I would be getting out of bounds or out of range. Now let's see if we have that or not. So in fact, maybe so I've written it somewhere. Let me do this for you. So let's go to this website, online GDB, and I just very quickly want to show you this. So let's say I write this and I want to print list L of, let's say, index 5, which is not possible, by the way, because we have only till the 4th index and Python 3. So let's run. So as you can see, index error is the error that we've gotten. Again, it explains what index error means. And let's have a look upon the question that we had. So here, the kind of errors that we have here is, we have value error, index error we got. We have 0 division error, which is something that hasn't happened. So these exceptions will not be caught. So what would happen? Again, this tried, there are some exceptions. These two are not caught. So what would happen? It would just go ahead to finally and then print end of function. So the first line that would be printed here is end of function. Now again, even though we have gotten index error, this one I see here. So this index error, since it has occurred in this try, what would happen? It would just go ahead and pass on to this try statement after all, because this is the function call that has gotten by it. So which is why in this case, the next one that would be printed here would be, because this try has been implemented, it got index error from this one here. So it will be caught into this exception state, which is why the next thing that would be printed would be invalid index, and then finally end of program. So what would be printed? End of function, invalid index, and end of program. So this would be the output for us. So let's have a look on the next question that we have here is, and again, pause the video. This is a multiple choice question wherein there's not one correct answer, but multiple options are correct. So have a look upon this. Okay, so I hope that you had a look upon this. Now, I'll write the whole thing. Honestly, to be honest, when I was solving it, it took me about 15 minutes to understand what's wrong. I was like, everything is fine. But then I realized after looking very carefully is there is underscore here. And there's no underscore here. Right. Now, if you remember, these underscore in Python have a very specific meaning, and then they do something else, which is why the program would cause an error. But we still have created a variable with that name, but the program would misbehave in a different way. Again, that's very large. The explanation to that is very context. In this context, it's very difficult for me to explain because I have to explain you numerous other things as well. Right. So just give me a second. So let's have a look upon this further. Now what happens is I need this particular car ID. So what I can do here is it gives me a hint as well. It says change line 4 to car.get car ID. So there's something called as getters and setters. So what we are creating here is a getter method for ID. Okay, so if we created a getter method for a car ID, we need to also create it as well, right? So line 4 is perfect. Now the next thing here is out of these two, it says add a method to car class as follows. This add a method to car class as follows. So these two lines basically exactly same till here. Now what's saying is either return car ID or return underscore car ID. Which one would you prefer? Actually, the answer is this one, underscore car ID, because we created a variable with that name. The self variable is this itself. This is the variable that we have passed via this function. So this car ID is nothing but Volvo being passed to this one. But the inherent or the original variable for this particular class car is underscore car ID. So basically the answer for me would be this and this. So this would be the answer. Okay. So this question is fairly easy. To be honest, you can pause the video and I'll help you understand it. What I've probably may have also done is I may have also written it somewhere. So basically this is the answer. Disperse the product and then finally I'm returning this string, and this string would be returned here, and which is why function executed successfully would be printed at last. So first function is called, disperse the product is printed, and then function executed successfully, this is printed. Very simple. Looks complex, it's actually very simple. So based upon that you can choose up the correct option on your own, right? Now moving ahead. Now anybody can solve this question given 1 minute, 2 minutes, so on and so forth. How do you solve it quickly? Now I would say generalize it. Now what they are saying is base case is if less than 1, base case is if less than 1 then return 0, right? Okay, got it. And if %2 then fun num minus 1, and then if not then this particular thing. Okay, so 8 comes 8 %2, which is why this would call 7. Now in the case of 7, what we would be having 7 plus, and then we would further call it for num minus 2, that is 5. Okay, for this one obviously we'll come here again, so which would be 5 plus, and then we would be calling another thing that is 3, correct? And then the same thing we'd be adding 3 plus, and we'd be calling for 1, and then less than 1 does not get satisfied, so which is why we'd be calling for 1 plus minus 1 is what we would be trying, but then less than 1 it would be returning 0, so basically 0. So 1 plus 3, 4, 4 plus 5, 9, 9 plus 7, 16. Or if I were to generalize it, I would have done it like, let's say if they asked me for 16, so in that case I would have said 15 plus 13 plus 11 plus 9 plus 7 plus 5 plus 3 plus 2. This would be the answer, and the same answer in fact for 16 as well. So basically whatever odd values are below the number, the program is to calculate that. So in the case, the answer for us is 16. So very simple. Okay, so this is a little complex question. You can read more about it as well. Now, in our case, I want you to read the whole question, because else you will not understand anything. I'm just going ahead because of sake of your time. I don't want to waste your time further in it. Basically, what I see here is, I see them talking about a very standard thing, that is vehicles, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, so on and so forth. Okay, so if I look upon this, here they are talking about two-wheelers. Here they are talking about four-wheelers, and then inside, so here there's a vehicle recalled. And then inside this four-wheeler, there's another nested. So it's not in the same like this. It's further nested also. That okay. Maybe the four-wheeler is commercial. Two-wheelers are not commercial. Taxis and all of them are only four-wheelers. So that is very exclusive to four-wheelers vehicle. That okay, is the four-wheeler that you are having, is that commercial vehicle or not? Okay. So they are asking, is optimal class structure would be 4 independent classes? No, obviously not. Vehicles, buses, cars, two-wheeler, three-wheeler, one-wheeler, inheritance, that is what we learned, right? So obviously not the correct option. 3 classes with inheritance, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, inherit from vehicle, could be correct, fine, but I'm still questioned about, they give me additional value of commercial. Where is that? Maybe in one of the further options it would be there. 4 classes with inheritance, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, and commercial for vehicle which inherits from vehicle. So what they're saying is, vehicle is one class. It has 3 different things: two-wheeler, four-wheeler, and then commercial. I'm like, okay, fine, but in the case, there's another nested loop for four-wheeler. So shouldn't it be like, this is, let's say, vehicle, this is two-wheeler, and then this is four-wheeler, and below four-wheeler, there should be commercial, right? Maybe the fourth option is like this: 4 classes, two-wheeler, four-wheeler, inherit from vehicle. Perfect. This is what I imagine. And commercial four-wheeler inherits from vehicle. Okay. Exactly what I was saying is like this. So basically the architecture of this would be, let's say, vehicle. Vehicle has 2 things. One is two-wheeler. Another is four-wheeler. And then this four-wheeler further has commercial, right? So not very difficult. This particular question, it's just looks difficult, but actually isn't, right? So that's pretty much about in this particular video what we are going to cover. Again, you could join a course. We'll be completing the whole InfyTQ course with the theoretical concepts of DBMS, Python, everything that is there for InfyTQ, right? So link to that is again in the description below. Okay, so moving ahead, again, just reminding you to get all the off-campus updates, make sure that you follow us on our social media channels so that you don't miss upon drives. Because of COVID, it's a little difficult to get off-campus updates these days. Again, the preparation courses, again, link is in the description. The cost is 1999 and you'll get a coupon code called as YouTube. Further, you can have it for 200 rupees less, which would mean it's for 1799, right? And again, Royal Pass is something better for all the, rather than purchasing individual courses individually, and then let's say if you don't get selected in InfyTQ, then maybe next company, then next company. So you can't purchase all the courses. So which is why we have created a value chain wherein you can just buy the Royal Pass and access all the courses that we have today and all the courses that we would have tomorrow. And obviously you would get the certification for skill-based courses like C++, Python, DSA, data science, web development, etc, etc. Price is 4444, and again we have these 2 things as well. So thank you so much. Again, we have this competition wherein the top 3 comments would get the Prime Video course of their choice completely free, and I very much look forward for you to be those one of the fortunate ones as well. So make sure that you do participate, share it with your friends, and don't forget to click upon the bell icon and or subscribe as well. So thank you so much. I'll see you up ahead very soon.